changing of the flag. So Fort McHenry is the only national monument and historic shrine out of all 430 locations in the National Park Service. What that means is we're really special. We are also the very first place ever required to fly the American flag 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And that's from 1948 and a proclamation issued by President Harry S. Truman, which states that the flag was fly by Fort McHenry 365 days a year as a reminder of patriotism. And he references the battle that happened in December of 1814. Now, the fort being required to in 1948 fly the flag means that we fly the flag 24 hours a day before the moon ever does. Thank you. So God started the day kicked in 69 versus 48. So it's really fun when I see the moon out here because I'm like, we flew it first. But with that, so we're ordered by the president to fly the flag. So what do we need at nighttime to fly the flag? Lights. So on top of the side port here, we have solar-powered lights that are going to come on at nighttime. If you're driving along I-95, as long as you're not the driver, you can look over and see the flagpole and the flag illuminated. Now, that is also why we have to change it. Now, I have to go home in about an hour and a half. And if I were to leave this flag, or even our big garrison flag out at nighttime, when I go home, what could happen? Bad weather, yeah, storm comes off the Chesapeake Bay. And what's that storm going to do to that flag? Is it going to shred it, make it, well, more importantly than just the flag itself, if it pulls on the flag, what's the flag pulling on? Well, it's the pole. And if it pulls hard enough, what can happen? Snap it and break it. And if the flagpole is broken, can we fly a flag on it? No, so we're not following the order of the president, which is not good. And then also, we have to use taxpayer dollars to install a new flagpole. So we'd rather like to say that we can replace some of our smaller night flags versus having to get a whole new pole. Let's say we're saving taxpayer dollars, so you're welcome. But that's in short why we have to change out the flag and put up our night flag. Just in case if anything happens, it's small enough, it's not going to pull on it real hard, we'll know we'll be okay. Now, as you can imagine, what happens here in September of 1814 that makes this place so special and famous? Battle of Baltimore and the creation of the Star-Spangled Banner. Excuse me, I almost said Star-Spangled Banner. Star-Spangled Banner. This is the birthplace of the Star-Spangled Banner. As they say, this is where it happened. And what's really neat, I think, that it's a pivotal moment during the War of 1812, and probably guess what year that war started. So that means it's going to be a year and a half into the war for the Battle of Baltimore to take place. So to give you some context on what's going on. So about a week and a half before the British Army attacked Baltimore, they're going to capture Washington, D.C., America's capital. It's 35 miles to our southwest. This is a big win for the British, and it's also the only time America's capital has ever been captured by an enemy army. Now that the British have America's capital, what are they going to do to it? Burn. Now, they're not going to burn everything. They're only going to go after the governmental buildings, so the symbols of American government. So the White House, Library of Congress, Capitol Building, War Department, Treasury Department will all be up in flames, but they'll leave most of the private civilian houses alone. Now, their next target is going to be Baltimore. Now, it's not going to be an order from the British High Command or from the British Parliament. Essentially what happens is a couple subordinate officers go to their commander and say, "Sir, while we're in the area, let's go knock out America's third largest city and one of its largest ports in the war effort." I always like to imagine the commander responding with, "That looks pretty good on my resume." Okay, so they're going to make their way back to their ships, and then they're going to set sail for Baltimore. So it's taking them about 2 weeks to get here. How do the Americans feel about Washington City being taken? What are some emotions they're going through? They're angry, yeah. Well, the defense of embarrassed, absolutely. The defense of Washington City was a disgrace. They're not going to let what happened in Washington happen here in Baltimore. A lot of civilians will also be scared and evacuate town. The British have been on a winning streak. And the British feel that the same thing that happened in Washington is going to happen in Baltimore. They don't realize that the Baltimore civilians, the men, the women, the rich, the poor, and the formerly enslaved, have put aside the differences and they're working with the Maryland militia, the citizen soldiers, to prepare additional defenses for the city. So, you can imagine the British officers' surprise when they see, on September 7th, while they're sailing out the Chesapeake Bay, an American truce ship sailing towards them, flying a flag of truce. And on board, 2 individuals important for my story. One is an American exchange agent. His name is Colonel John Skinner. And with him is an American lawyer. His name is Francis Scott Key. What in the world are these guys doing on board this ship going out to meet the British?
Prisoner exchange.
Prisoner exchange, exactly. One of Francis Scott Key's acquaintances, a friend, was captured by the British. His name is Dr. William Beans. And when Francis Scott Key finds out about this, he gets special permission from the President of the United States, James Madison, to go out with Colonel Skinner and negotiate for Dr. Beans' release. So they actually have lunch on the British flagship and negotiate. How do you think those negotiations went? Actually pretty good. Not good in the beginning, but the British eventually come around and they do agree to let Dr. Beans go. Success. There's a catch. While they've been on board the British flagship, what have these guys overheard? At least from the British perspective.
British plans.
British plans to attack on the city. The British are afraid that if these guys leave and get back to the city, they're going to tell everybody what the British plans are. They're going to go this way and that way. That's not very good, right? It's not. So, what are they going to do with these guys? They don't want to arrest them. They don't want to make a political scene. Don't want anything to look bad. But they can't let them leave.
Keep them a while.
Keep them a while, exactly. So they say, okay, you guys are not under arrest, but you will be detained. You're not allowed to leave until the battle is over. And then once we are victorious, as we have been all summer, we will personally escort you into the city to ensure your safety. How kind of them.
Yeah.
So what that means is, whether these guys like it or not, they're going to have a front row ticket to the Battle of Baltimore. Now, the British fleet will arrive in Baltimore Harbor on September 11th. They're going to begin their attack on the city the next day. So September 12th, disembark their army. They win at the Battle at North Point, but as they move up the main road to get to the city, they run into one of those American defensive positions the civilians, the militia have been preparing. It's essentially a trench with cannons on top of a hill of high elevation called Hampstead Hill. It was along one of the main roads outside the city, and today that's Patterson Park, just to give you some perspective on its location. So, I'm a big Star Wars fan. So the British see the Americans are on the high ground. Obi-Wan Kenobi will be happy with the Americans. So this is not good. The British thought it was going to be easy. They need help. So they're going to turn to the World Navy, the most powerful navy in the world, to attack Fort McHenry, get the fort to surrender. Then hopefully the Navy can get their ships into the inner harbor past the other American defenses to then attack that position from the port, help out their guys on land. So the British will send 6 ships of war, 5 bombs on a rock ship, begin an attack on Fort McHenry. And on this exact spot right behind me is where the original flagpole would have stood 210 years ago. On it would have been a Wolf 17 by 25 foot, 15 star, 15 shirt American flag. It's a little bit bigger than the one we're flying right now. Now, during this battle, heavy rainstorm is going to be, it's going to last all night long. This is why that's important. What's that rainwater going to do to that Wolf flag? Make it heavy. It's going to be hugging the flagpole. It's not flying like this one right here. So Francis Scott Key is watching this battle as the British will open fire for 25 hours straight. Can he see that flag, especially at nighttime with that rainstorm? He cannot. So how does he know that the Americans are still fighting if he can't see the flag? Now there's a certain line, he references this in the song. I almost gave it away there for a second. Does anybody know which line he references this? That's the one, yeah. The rocket's red glare and the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that
The flag was still there.
what that means is that as long as the British keep shooting, he knows the Americans are still fighting. So I can imagine what's going through his mind now. By the dawn's early light the next morning, HMS Volcano fires the last bomb and the British guns fall silent. As the British sent a military officer to go aboard Key's ship and say, "Mr. Key, Colonel Skinner, congratulations, you've beaten us, sirs. We're getting ready to leave." Did they do that? No. So do they have any idea what's going on? They do not. So they're looking through their spy glasses, aka their telescopes, in the early hours of September 14th, and they're trying to see what flags on the flag, what's going on. Something's happening. And by the dawn's early light, at best, even though the rain has stopped by that point, there's still the low cloud cover, a lot of smoke from the battle, so they can only see a red, white, and blue flag hanging limp, hugging the flagpole. Can't make out the design, only the color scheme. Now, what color is the British flag? Not very helpful, right? So I have to wonder for over an hour and a half what's going on, what's happened. And then at 9 o'clock, something happens. The morning gun of Fort McHenry fires to everybody's attention, let them know something's happening. And then they see whatever flag that was on that flagpole is taken down. Now what's going to rise in its place? Will it be the white flag of surrender? Will it be the British Union Jack? This is perfect for Francis Scott Key. His sister lives in Baltimore with her family. What's going to happen to their homes? His loved ones. And then he sees at 9 o'clock an even larger, dry, 30 by 42 foot American flag raised on the flagpole of Fort McHenry. And he's so moved by the defense of Fort McHenry and from the citizens of Baltimore putting aside differences and working together to defend their city, that he will pull out an envelope and jot down a couple lines. And he's going to finish this, will become his song. Within 2 days later, he finished this. It's going to be 4 verses in total, 4 stanzas. Now, what's really interesting, I think, is that we always sing the first one. And he ends that stanza with the question. Here's how he words it. Oh, say, does that Star-Spangled Banner yet wave where the land of the free and the homebred question mark? Now, in the second stanza, he actually answers it. Here's how he words it. Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam, in full glory reflected, now shines in the stream. 'Tis the Star-Spangled Banner, oh long may it wave, o'er the land of the free and the homeward, exclamation point. So he turns that question mark to an exclamation point. He has his answer. So he gets back, and he's got this tune in his head when he's writing these words. It's a British tavern song called Anacreon in Heaven, a really popular melody from the time period. It was what a lot of people would know, and he also wrote some other songs to that tune before. Now, finishes it, sends it to the publishers. Publishers think it's pretty good, but they think the name could be a little bit different. It's at first called The Defense of Fort McHenry, and the publisher decides Star-Spangled Banner would probably work better. So it then becomes the Star-Spangled Banner. And as we say today, it's become a top 10 hit. It goes viral, spreads across the whole entire country. This has been 6 weeks. No radios, no telephones. 6 weeks it takes for this tune to be printed in pamphlets, brochures, bulletin boards, newspapers across the whole entire nation. And the reason why it's so popular is that for the very first time ever, the American people have a story and a connection to the symbol of their country, the American flag. This is what's going to allow the song to remain popular for many generations, become a national air on the level of Hail Columbia, Yankee Doodle, and it's going to become the official national anthem of the United States in 1931. So thank you all for bearing with me, and as they did 210 years ago, so we're going to do right now, change the flag of Fort McHenry. Now, part of my job is to tell you folks to remember our history, protect our environment, keep it safe, so please, remember our history, we should keep our environment safe, but we also want to make sure our environment is not going to hurt us, which is why, since I had to look up for this, I'm going to take off my glasses and put on my sunglasses. Alright. There we go. Now, to begin, so the wind's going this way, so we're going to have my friends who are going to help me with catching the flag. We're going to stand right over here, okay? So I need to take the ropes and walk it out back this way a little bit.